Hello friends, and welcome to my September Readathon TBR. So this is going to be kind of part one of my September TBR. I'm going to go through the readathons that I'm participating in and the prompts for those. And then I'll do a second video with kind of my required reads, read-alongs, Patreon buddy reads, and then my regular TBR race game. I just figured it was easier to do it in two videos, because if I try to do it in one video, it's gonna be so long. It's already probably gonna be too long. I have lost my mind. Let's just be honest and start with that. And I'm doing 5 month-long readathons. And I'm also doing 30 books in 30 days, or 30 books Heth September, I guess Brie from 4 Paws in a Book is calling it. I'm not sure if she's doing it with other people. I haven't seen any like official. The only thing that I've seen is her post about it on her Discord. Haven't seen much else about it, but I was thinking about doing it anyway, so that was the little push that I needed. So yeah, I'm doing 5 month-long readathons. This is besides any other like 48-hour readathons I'm doing. This is a month where we do mini Star Hop with Stephanie from Stephanie's Bookverse. There's I think it's a 72-hour, or maybe it's 4 days. How many hours is that? 72 hours is 3 days, right? I think there's a 4-day round of Squash That Series happening, which involves spinner wheels. And then Brittany from Brittany Loves Reading also is doing a 48-hour Patreon readathon at the end of the month. So I'll have some other smaller readathons, but I'm doing 5 month-long readathons. Now, these do require varying amounts of participation. So I'm going to talk about them somewhat in order of my priority to them. Some of them are just kind of like, there's a few prompts, and you can kind of just match up whatever you're reading to whatever prompts they work for. And then some of them require a little bit more participation. So I sort of have them in order of like what I'm trying most to actually fully participate in, and then what I'm just kind of reading books for and then seeing if they work for it, if that like makes any sense. And absolutely, this is not a ranking of like how good I think the readathon is or how much I like the people who are doing it. It's just that I'm doing so many readathons and some of them require a little less effort, and so I can't put my full self into all 5 of them, or I would lose my mind. So yeah, that's how we're doing it. So first, the readathon that I'm actually trying to achieve all of the prompts for is Aurelium, or the Magical Readathon. So this, of course, it has been created by G from Book Roast. It is an incredibly creative, immersive world. There's a lot to it. I personally am not doing as much as I could be for it. There's a whole like character creation element to it. There are like guilds, there are side quests. It's like a whole thing. And at one point I did have a character and I was part of a guild, but I've just kind of left that all behind, and I'm just doing the calling and the prompts associated with that calling, and that's all we're really doing, because otherwise it would be too difficult and I wouldn't be able to wrap my mind around it. So for this autumn equinox, or for the whole year really, because I did it in the spring equinox also, my calling is Feywild Cartographer. So it's basically like a map maker, but like a magical map maker of like magical areas. So that sounds pretty fun, right? And I actually don't need to read that much for this. It's 7 books, so we'll see. And in the fall equinox, as opposed to in the spring equinox, in the fall equinox there are some classes that have multiple levels, and so sometimes you have to read multiple levels for one class, and there's different prompts, but you have to read them in order. I only have one class that I have 2 levels, and the rest of them it's all just the first level of the class, so I don't have to read it in a particular order. But let's talk about what we're reading. I've actually realized some of the things I've written down I've actually changed my mind about, but we'll get into it. So there are some difficult prompts this year, guys, and I know, you know, she has to keep coming up with new things, and so there's bound to be some different and unique things, but there are some hard prompts this year. There are prompts that were hard. Anyway, so the first class that I have to complete is the first level of elemental studies, and for that I have to read a book with my favorite scent on the cover. Now, I actually may be changing my mind about this. I may have some options for this. I'm not holding myself to necessarily what I say in this video, but let's see. So the thing that I initially wrote down was The Moonlit Garden. I can't remember who this is by, and I actually don't even, it's an ebook. I don't remember what it's about, but it has lilies on the cover, and I absolutely love the smell of lilies. And so this was kind of my initial first pick. However, now that I know that I'm doing 30 books in 30 days and that I'm really going to have to try to combine as many things as I can, make as many things work for as many different readathons as I can, and also read short books that I'm actually going to be able to get through. A second option for this is the Pumpkin Spice Cafe, I think is what it's called. I think this is like a romance. I think it's a romance. Maybe, is it a cozy mystery? I don't know what it is. I don't know what it is, but I know that a lot of people were reading this last year, and I think I've seen a few people reading it this year also, and I just really want to read this, and I really do like pumpkin spice. More as a flavor than as a scent, but I do like the scent of it too. My second class is Animal Studies, and again, I only have to do the first level of this, and this is to read a book with a phoenix on the cover or in the title. I originally, again, had written down Master of Sorrows. I can't remember who this is by either, but this is a pretty big kind of epic, like, adult fantasy, and I have decided I don't think I have time to read this month. I think what I'm gonna do instead is search on Amazon for like a phoenix. I think I found like a phoenix shifter romance, which was not very long, which I think would be a much easier read for this prompt instead of Master of Sorrows. So I think we're gonna go with that. Nothing else that I own has a phoenix on the cover that I've been able to find. Next, we have Astronomy. And for this, you need to read a book that is released in your birth month. This was also difficult, but I found, finally, Daughter of the Deep by Rick Riordan. This is a standalone by Rick Riordan, so it's not in any of his series, but it's following a classroom of kids who are like, go to some like marine biology school or something, and they're diving, and I think they find like mermaids or like Atlantis or like something. They find something weird and magical under the ocean. It's been so long since I bought this that I no longer really remember what it was about, and I didn't read the synopsis again, but anyway. Next is Alchemy, and for this I need to read a book that will make me emotional. And for that I am picking up Valentine by Elizabeth Wetmore. I actually won this in a Goodreads giveaway, so that's fun, and I just have not ever read it. This takes place in the 1970s in Texas, in like an oil town, and it follows the story of a 14-year-old girl who I believe gets SA'd, and it kind of follows her journey after that and kind of the town's reaction to it, which obviously is probably going to be some pretty hard, heavy, emotional stuff. So not really looking forward to reading this. I think that's why I've been putting it off for so long. But it works for this prompt, so we're gonna read it. All right, next class we have inscriptions, and I do have to do the first 2 levels of inscription. So I have to do ordinary, I think is what O stands for, and then qualifying. So the first level, ordinary, I have to read a book that has all of the letters of my first name in the title. And this was harder than I thought it was going to be. So my name is Stacy, S-T-A-C-Y, and I didn't really think that was going to be that difficult. because they're not, even Y, you would think it was hard to find like a title with a Y in it, but it actually wasn't as difficult as I thought it was going to be. But to find all 5 letters in the same title was difficult. But I finally found one. So we have Waistcoats and Weaponry by Gail Carriger. This is the 3rd book in the not the Parasol Protectorate series, in the Finishing School series, which is her YA series that's in the same world as the Parasol Protectorate series. So this does follow a teenager named Sophronia who is going to a finishing school, which is actually teaching the girls how to be spies and assassins. And it's a fun time. This is set in kind of a steampunky, like 1800s setting. There are paranormal creatures, there are vampires and werewolves, and it's a lot of fun. And I really need to continue on with the series because it's been a while since I read the 2nd one. And then the 2nd level was a title color wheel. So you had to like spin a random color wheel and then find a book that has the title, and then find a book that has that color in the title, which is difficult. Now, I did not film myself or do a screen recording or anything of myself spinning the wheel, so I do apologize for that. But I got orange. And of course, my first thought was Priory of the Orange Tree, and then my second thought was, oh hell no, I'm not reading Priory of the Orange Tree in September. I probably will read it someday, but it's just so long. It's so long. But anyway. So I did a little searching on Kindle Unlimited, and I found Blood Orange on Kindle Unlimited. I can't remember who the author is, but this is a Dracula retelling. It is a kind of a dark romance between a vampire hunter and a vampire. And apparently the vampire is supposed to be the actual vampire that Bram Stoker based Dracula on in this like world or whatever. And then finally we have Demonology, and for this I have to have a person who is not a book reader, who does not read for fun, pick a book for me. Now I'm cheating a little bit here because I don't really have very many people in my life. Like, my parents both read, my husband doesn't read, but I also don't really want him to pick a book for me, and he would not want to be on camera necessarily. So I think what I'm gonna do is have the baby pick me a book. Now, he is sleeping right now, which is why I'm even able to be filming this. He's taking a nap. So I'm gonna have to film a clip later when he is awake and insert it in here. And I think I haven't really decided whether I'm gonna pick like 3 books that I need to read and like have him pick from that, or if I'm just gonna give him free reign and like hold him up to my bookshelf and have him just pick a book for me. I haven't really decided yet, but I'll film that clip and I'll insert it here. All right, friends, we have a baby who's just woken up from a nap, and it's much later in the day, hence why my hair looks horrible. Just ignore it. We are going to go pick a book. So I'm just gonna hold him up to my bookshelves, and I'm gonna try not to influence him too much. We're gonna try just to like hold him up to the bookshelves and let him like reach out and touch a book. So we'll see if he actually cooperates with us, because I just tried to have him pick out a new outfit to put on because he peed through his other one, and he just stared at me and smiled. So we'll see if this works. Also, this is probably kind of cheating because he's a baby, but he doesn't know what any of the books are about. He's literally just randomly picking a book, so I think it counts for the spirit of what the prompt is supposed to be for. So let's go in the bedroom. All right, so these are my TBR books. These are all of my unread books. There are a double layer of them. So the ones that are on the outside are ones I'm more interested in reading. We're gonna try to see if I can capture this on camera. I don't know if I can hold both the camera and him properly while we do this, but we're gonna try to lean him towards the shelves and have him grab a book. Which book do you think Mama should read, huh? He's looking at the floor. Which book do you think Mama should read? Oh, Vanity Fair is right next to him. That is a big one. Well, he reached behind him to one that I've already read that I'm unhauling. So that's not helpful. Which book should Mama read? No, in front of you. Which book should Mama read? What do you think? No, touch it on there. He tried to touch the screen. Oh no. I don't know how clear that was, because I was kind of trying to hold him and my phone and I wasn't really looking at my phone to make sure I had a clear shot there at the end, but he very clearly put his finger on the 5th season by N.K. Jemisin. I should have like moved all the big books away from where he was, but I didn't want to influence him. We just genuinely, this was the book that he put his finger on. So this is what I'm gonna read, I guess. I have the air conditioner on, so I'm really sorry if that's really loud. I have tried to read this before, and then I soft DNF'd it because I was enjoying what I read of it, but I just ended up setting it aside for reasons I don't really remember. And he's very happy with himself. Are you happy with your choice? Are you happy with your choice? Yeah, he's very proud of himself. I know that it's about some kind of a world where there are like waves of like some kind of apocalypse or something. So the next readathon that we are working on is Sufferathon. And I don't really have anything to tell you yet about Sufferathon, because Sufferathon, the prompts are released every week, so I don't know what the prompts are going to be yet. This is created by Paige from Pages with Paige. She has a couple lovely co-hosts, and yeah, it's basically based around suffering. It's based around the people who are hosting it being really mean to you, which doesn't sound like very much fun, but it is so much fun. I participated in this last year. Last year it was kind of hotel based, and had a lot of fun with it. This year it is cruise based. So we're taking a cruise. We're taking a Sufferathon cruise, and rumor has it the cruise ship may not be 100% seaworthy, so Lord knows what's going to happen to us. But yeah, so prompts will be released every Sunday throughout the month of September. I believe last year there was only like one prompt every week. I believe this year each host or co-host is going to be releasing a prompt, and you can either pick which prompt you want to do, or you can do more than one prompt. So we'll have to wait until September 1st to see what our prompts for that are. So I can't really talk much more about that. Next we have Adventurer-a-thon. So kind of similar to the Magical Readathon, this is a creative, like overarching story where there's like character creation, and each one kind of builds, each kind of round of Adventure-a-thon sort of builds off of itself. I have not participated in this before. I'm just participating in it now. And so this is my first time doing it. So I'm just kind of jumping into it. I'm going to be trying to work on creating a character kind of throughout the rest of August, and then also in September. So I'm going to kind of work on my character prompts. My character is going to be an assassin. And so the prompts that I need to complete to create my character are that I need to pick my weapon. So I've decided to go with a dagger. I can't remember what the other choice was. So I need to read a book with a dagger on the cover. And for that, we are reading The Final Empire, the first Mistborn book by Brandon Sanderson. She is holding, what is her name? I don't remember what her name is. Vin. Vin is holding daggers. So there was some discussion in August in Brittany from Brittany Loves Reading in her Patreon Discord about a Cosmere read-along. There were a couple of us looking for a Cosmere read-along that was starting soon, and we couldn't really find one that either hadn't already happened or already started, or that the reading schedule for it was a little too intense. And so Brittany decided to start a low-key, chill Cosmere read-along on her Patreon Discord, where we could kind of join in and read whenever we wanted. So we have, we're starting, I think most of us are planning on reading this first one in September, and then after that, who knows. But I have read this already once, but I want to reread it before I continue on with the first Mistborn trilogy, because I read it at kind of back to back with Foundryside by Robert Jackson Bennett, and they're somewhat similar plots. They're not super similar, but they're similar enough that I don't feel like I remember a lot of the details of what actually happens in this as opposed to Foundryside. I feel like I'm mixing them up a little bit. They're both about kind of like these young, like teenage orphan girls who are like these secret like assassins or thieves. And it's kind of this like, they're both kind of this like ragtag band of people trying to overthrow an oppressive government, basically. And the setting, like the city that is in both of them, are very similar, and so I need to refresh my memory with what actually happens in this one so that I can continue on with the series and somewhat know what I'm talking about. So, dagger on the cover. Here we go. Then the second thing I need is my like special ability. So for that, I can either learn how to use poisons, which would be to read a book about poisoners, or I can learn stealth to read a book that I forgot that I owned, or I can join a guild, and that would be to read a book about a guild, a clan, or a gang. I have not really picked anything for this yet. I don't know which of the three I'm going to be going for. I don't necessarily know that there's a book that I own that I forgot that I own. I think I'm pretty aware of all of the books that I own. So, I feel like it would be more likely that it would be the Poisoners or a guild, a clan, or a gang, and it would be just a book that I kind of happened to read that had that element in it, and then I could be like, okay, there we go. And then finally, for my quest, for my character quest to finalize my character, I need to read a book featuring assassins. I think this would work. Not 100% sure about any of the other books that I'm planning on reading this month. So again, that may be just one that I kind of am like, all right, I think this works for that, and then we move on. And then finally, for my final quest, I need to read a book featuring a corrupt leader or government being overthrown. And again, I'm not 100% sure about that. I think I just need to read books and see if something sticks along the way here. So that's the character creation portion of it. The actual readathon portion of it, this is a spooky round. So it's essentially a haunted house. And based on the path that you ended up in the last readathon is where you kind of start this readathon. I obviously didn't do the last readathon, so I actually did a random number generator. There are 4 paths, so I did a random number generator 1 through 4, and I ended up with path 3. So in order to enter the haunted house, I need to read a book with both a map and with mist, fog, or smoke on the cover. You can read 2 separate books for this, but the idea is kind of to find a book that has both of them. And so I'm going to be reading for this A Lust for Blood by Casey Smith. This is a book I got in an unplugged book box, and this has, a map. And it also, if you look at it very closely, there's like mist in the background of the forest. So it's more pronounced actually on the back than it is on the front, because on the front it just kind of looks like the moonlight, but I think there is actually like mist This is about a woman who has some kind of cursed being. Like, she sort of gets, like, possessed or something and kills a bunch of people and doesn't really know what's going on, and then ends up being, like, locked away in this wood, this enchanted forest to, like, protect everyone around her. And then a demon hunter comes and, like, finds her, and I think they fall in love. This is a beautiful, beautiful edition. It has some beautiful, that's a beautiful foiling on that. It also has an alternative cover, I think. You turn it inside out and it's got the people on it. So I'm very excited to read this. I feel like I'm kind of in my romantasy era right now. I'm feeling some romantasy. So it also has kind of spooky vibes for like going into fall. So I'm really looking forward to that. So this is the book that you need to read first before you do anything else. Once you've completed the book that features your path prompts, then you've entered the haunted house. And we can, from there, explore the house. And there are 10 rooms in the house, and you don't have to do them in any particular order. But as you complete the rooms, you get keys or gifts of some kind. And then once we collectively as a group have gotten enough keys, then we unlock the room with like the big bad guy. And then for like the last week of the month, we're just reading books and it's just pure page count. But before then, there are prompts. I'm not going to go over every single prompt because I'm not sure I'm going to be able to complete all of them, but just a handful of prompts that I'm going to be doing anything with. So one of the rooms is a parlor, and that is to read a book about a sentient or haunted house. I'm going to read a Darcy Coates book for this. I think I'm going to read the Fulcroft Ghosts, but I don't know that that's set in stone. I could read, she has a bunch of haunted house books, so I could read multiple other things. I did not pull this down off the shelf, but the multi-purpose room, the prompt is to read a mixed media, and so I would like to read Obsidio. It's up on the shelf. I didn't pull it down, but it is the third book in the Illuminae Files trilogy, and I would really like to finish out that trilogy. So I'd like to read that. And then finally we have Alchemy, the Alchemy Lab, which is to read a book about alchemy or science of any kind. I think this counts as alchemy. So they like, the magic system in this world is that you sort of like eat elements and you kind of turn it into magic. Does that count as alchemy? Let me know in the comments if you think that counts as alchemy. But we'll see. I might need to find something else that works for that. But anyway. So that's Adventure-a-thon. There are a bunch more prompts and I probably will complete more of them, but I don't want to spend forever talking about all of these. Oh, I forgot, the Adventure-a-thon is hosted by Kirsty from K-Beth Bookish. I forgot, I needed to mention that. Everyone will be linked down below. Moving on to the Mystic Readathon, this is being hosted by Nell from Nell Diamond, and this is a Vampire Diaries based readathon. So there are 4 teams, or maybe 5 teams. Are there 5 teams? I don't know. There are a bunch of teams based on the kind of paranormal creatures. I think there are 4. Vampire, witches, werewolves, and humans. I think there are just the 4. I have decided to join Team Vampire. So the vampires have 4 specific prompts to us. And the first one is a book with a red cover. I may end up regretting all of my life decisions and I may end up reading something else for this, but I think I'm going to read The Red Pyramid for this by Rick Riordan. This is the first book in the Kane Chronicles, which is a trilogy featuring Egyptian mythology. It features 2 siblings. I believe their mother died when they were young, and their father is an Egyptologist, and he travels the world. Or is he an Egyptologist or just yeah, he's an Egyptologist. So the little boy yeah, the little boy travels with their father while the little girl stays with her grandparents in London. However, their father ends up unleashing the Egyptian god Set, and I believe like makes their father disappear. And so Sadie and Carter need to go on this journey to figure everything out. I've been wanting to read this for a really long time. It is kind of chunky. They're all kind of chunky, all three books are. But it's middle grade, so like it might read faster than I'm expecting it to. And I think there are some interesting kind of like riddles and puzzles and stuff in it. So I'm really looking forward to reading it. Next we have a title starting with V. And for that, we're reading Valentine, which we already talked about. We have a book with blood on the cover or in the title. For that, I'm reading A Lust for Blood, which again, I already talked about. And then finally, we have a book with vampires. And for that, I'm going to be reading The Ashes and the Star-Crossed King by Carissa Broadbent, which is the second book in the, I don't know. Anyway, I'm very excited. I loved Serpent and the Wings of Night, and I'm really looking forward to getting back into this. This is a world where vampires are kind of in charge of everything and humans are sort of their slaves. And the first book follows a human who has been raised by a vampire who enters a vampire like tournament in order to win some kind of special prize at the end of it. And I really, really, really loved it. There's also a bit of romance in it, which I really loved. I'm really looking forward to continuing on. There are a bunch of, so those are the 4 sort of like vampire specific prompts, which I believe you can use more than once. I mean, you can only use them once for one prompt for each book, but I think you can use them more than once. There are also a number of community prompts that you can use as many times as you want, and you can use as many of them for each book as you want that also get you points. And I'm not going to go over all of those because we would be here all day. And finally, but certainly not least, we have The Goddess Complex being hosted by Beatrice from Beatrice's Book Nook. And this is a Greek goddess based readathon, and this one has teams based on the Greek goddesses, and it's again a competitive one where you can this is kind of the only reason that these 2 readathons I'm listing last is because you can just kind of read whatever you want and then match prompts to them. It's not as specific. Similarly to the Mystic Readathon, there are some specific team prompts that do interesting things. Hey, editing Stacey here. Apparently when I was watching the readathon announcement for the Goddess Complex, I was not paying attention at all. So, so let me just like re-explain here. So the team prompts, it's not necessarily something where you want to complete all of them, which is kind of what I was thinking. I'm not sure if she didn't say in the video or if I just wasn't paying attention. Either way, they're point multipliers. So you have 3 different levels of the main prompts that everybody has. I think there are 4 or 5 of each. There's easy, medium, and then hard, and they're worth different amounts of points. For each book that you read, you can select 1 prompt from each of the levels. So you can have 1 easy prompt, 1 medium prompt, and 1 hard prompt for every book that you read. And then you can also add a team prompt, which is a multiplier to the other points. And as they increase in difficulty, the amount that your points get multiplied by gets higher, if that makes any sense. So the point is obviously to get as many points as you can. My mouth is dry from talking. My foot is falling asleep. I have so much going on in September and I might lose my mind. So we'll see. if I'm actually able to. I have a feeling several of these readathons are probably going to end up falling off of my radar and I'm going to kind of forget about them. Because that happens a lot when I try to overstretch myself. I just end up sort of not really being able to participate in all of them, but we'll see what happens. So let me know if you are participating in any of these readathons. Let me know what you're planning on reading in September, and like the video, subscribe if you want to see more from me. But I will see you guys in my next video. Thank you for watching. Bye bye.